Available for free, Fortnite's Battle Royale game is a third-person, no-respawn, single or squad-based shooter where about 100 players are dropped weaponless onto an island. Then they've got to scavenge for weapons and fight to stay alive while an ever-decreasing circle formed by a force field storm forces them into a smaller and smaller part of the map. Along the way, you can use your pickaxe to collect resources and smash through to hidden areas for loot crates. You can build walls, ramps and other structures to reach places or to create cover. Almost anything in the game can be destroyed by hitting it with your pickaxe or shooting at it with a weapon. The winner is the last person or squad standing, and it's a whole load of fun. I'd recommend wearing a headset with this game so you can hear which direction enemies are approaching from, where there's gunfire and the general goings on in the map and in the environment around you. Okay, so when you first load up and jump into the lobby area, practice jumping on the platform parts, crouching with the shoulder, jumping. And if you can get a gun and ammo, practice shooting at the other players, because it does take a lot of getting used to if you're used to first-person shooters or even third-person shooters where when you press the left trigger you aim down sights, because there's none of that in this game unless you've got a sniper rifle. In this part you can't do any damage and your pickaxe can't collect any resources, and anything you do pick up weapon wise or resource wise doesn't carry over to the game, but it'll start to get you used to the controls. Remember that the first dozen or so games are just about getting used to the mechanics of the game and working out which strategies work for you. Expect to die quickly and not get very far, but just ready up and go back in again. Once the bus is in the air, press up on your D-pad to see where it's headed. You can use your left stick and trigger to mark where you might want to go. I'd recommend waiting until the bus is 2/3 of the way across the island, then jump with X. Tip your character down so that they're heading almost vertically that way and keep pushing forward on the stick. Adjust your direction to head to the nearest house. Your parachute will automatically deploy at a set height and aim to land right next to the door. Now remember, if you see someone else heading for that house, float or run to the next one. While you've only got a pickaxe, you are very, very vulnerable. Now, as I said, your top priority is to get a gun, and they're almost always, well, they're always at the moment inside structures. Sometimes on roofs, but almost always inside. When you get inside, remember to close the door, because that's an audio clue as to when someone else is coming behind you, and then start to search the house. As soon as you find a gun, obviously equip it. And also look out for ammo boxes. They're fairly unassuming little, normally grey or metal boxes, but they only reveal the square to search them when you're very close. But ammo is very important in this game. Listen out for anyone else opening the door to your house, and if so, get ready to blast them. Now's also the time to smash up some furniture and whatever's around to collect resources so you can build ramps later on. Listen out for the high-pitched sound of a loot crate, which are normally hidden in inaccessible areas or behind things, so behind hay bales, in the lofts of houses. And generally you'll need to either smash through something with your pickaxe or use the building mechanic to build a ramp. Now once the house is empty, it's time to check the map, so press top on the D-pad. Has the circle appeared? And how long is it until the force field storm starts to shrink? So check the countdown clock on the middle right of your screen. You can also see the number of players left in the game. You've probably, unless you're right on the edge of the island, got enough time to carefully search any other buildings around you are for more loot if you need it. It's nice to get an assault rifle, you know, the ones that look like M16s. There's one that looks like a SCAR that's really good. The blue potions are very important. If you can get one of those, you know, just drink it straight away. And if you get another one, great, because they protect you. In effect, it's giving you a double health bar. Bandages are very important too, because they can heal you. And a shotgun or an SMG for close-up work. And if you can get one, a revolver. Now, the sniper rifles are excellent, but at the moment, there's not many in the game at all. You'll notice that the weapons come in different colours, which delineates the power and how good they are. So, common is grey, uncommon is green, rare is blue, epic is purple, legendary is orange, and mythic is gold. But don't worry about this yet. You know, if you see an assault rifle, pick it up. You know, if you see a shotgun, pick it up, and a pistol and bandages. Now, if it's safe, feel free in these beginning stages of the game to fire off the weapon a couple of times, because you get burst assault rifles and you get automatic shotguns, and you need to get used to the rhythm of these games, so you're not caught in that situation where you've got your finger pressed down on the trigger on a burst weapon so it only fires once. So get used to that. Remember, if you've picked up any armor potions, drink them so that frees up the slot in your backpack. While we're there as well, press the touchpad in the middle of your PlayStation 4 controller, and that will bring up the backpack menu. Now here you can swap things around. Now I'd imagine as the game probably gets a little bit more complicated and they add things in, we might be able to do other stuff. But what you can do from this screen as well is drop things. Now this is very important, because when you're playing as a squad, all these resources that you've just picked up by running around have got to be shared between your squad, unless they found other stuff. So at times you've got to drop ammunition, you've got to drop weapons, and drop bandages for your teammates so they can heal themselves. Now at this time, you've got to start to decide whether you need to move or not. Check the map, look at the circle. Are you inside the circle? If you're not inside the circle, you'll see a line which is leading, you know, the direct way to get there. If it's a long way away and there isn't much time left, you know, you're going to have to start thinking about moving. If you're close, maybe wait quite a lot, because people from outside of the circle are going to be running in, and ideally you want them to run past you so that you're following them from behind. If you're already in the circle, like I am in this gunplay at the beginning, you know, stay where you are if you've got enough loot, and just keep an eye on doors and windows. Don't engage if you don't have to. If you're in a house like this, stay low and peek through windows without exposing yourself, which is the big advantage and why some people don't always like third-person camera view games, because you can look around objects without exposing yourself, so the defender can often have the advantage. If you are moving, something that can help is to bring up the map screen and put a marker down where you want to go. Always remember as well, you can survive for quite a while in the force field storm. So don't sweat it if it overtakes you. You know, especially if you've got shields, you can last for a long time. And then when you get inside the circle, what you can then do is heal up with a medic pack or with bandages, and then proceed. One technique is to try and approach the circle from an angle, the opposite side, or slightly at an angle from the side that the bus would have flown over. Because remember, from the beginning of the video, the majority of players jump out really early. So they're all going to be kind of going towards the circle along the route that the bus would have taken through the air. And you don't want to be approaching them from the same angle, because you're going to run into lots of other players. You want to approach from like the other side. Maybe head on, but really at a flanking angle, maybe sort of 45 degrees, because remember, the field of view, although it is large because this is a third person, it's still fairly restricted. So if you can see people before they can see you, you've got an advantage. But if you're running in the same direction as people and they're coming behind you, that can be very tricky indeed. An advanced technique that you might want to try as you play along is as the bus is flying over the island, as it starts to fly over the island, stick your marker right at the beginning of the map where it crosses the coast, because that way you're always going to have a good idea of where the majority of players are running from, because they, as I said, they're going to be following that line that the bus took, because they're all going to be jumping off there, probably going to fairly close built up areas to get their weapons, and then moving towards the circle. Now when you are out and about, move quickly from cover to cover. Don't sort of crouch and just always be crouching as you move, because imagine if you're a sniper or even using an assault rifle at range, it's a lot easier to hit people who are moving in a straight line and who are moving slowly. If somebody's running, zigzagging and jumping up and down, the chances of that first hit actually hitting the target are very, very low. You can also, as you're going along, this looks a bit weird and I know it's a bit cheesy, but jump as well, because that enables you to be able to see over the crests of hills, so you can see if anybody's running around. avoid any of the buildings unless you really need more loot. And when you're going near buildings, remember that open doors mean that somebody's been in there already. Watch the windows and doors for camping enemies. And also for structures that look like they've been built recently, which tends to be like a wall in the middle of nowhere or next to a tree. Because somebody's probably built that and they're using it for cover, or, as I'll say a little bit later, maybe they're using it as a decoy. When you do start to move, you'll start to engage more enemies. But try and avoid gunfights unless you have the advantage. If you see enemies fighting out between themselves, let them kill and weaken each other before you get involved. Because what normally happens is you'll see 2 or 3 people when you're playing solo fighting each other, shooting each other. And then one of them will die, or maybe 2 of them will die if it's 3. And then you'll see their kit appear, bloop, it'll appear, and that's how you know one of them's definitely dead. And then the winner of the gunfight will probably have a quick look around and then excitedly run over to the pile of kit. And they'll be so absorbed with looking at this stuff, like looking for sniper rifles, more ammunition, and better weapons, that they won't notice you flanking round and then blatting them. Just make sure that when you do that, you aim down sight, you take your time, and then you blat them really fast because you need to kill them. Because you never know, there might be somebody else who's around the corner watching exactly what you're doing. And although with most of the weapons it's going to take a few bullets to kill you, as you'll see with this gunplay at the end when I get killed, I think I make it to 6th. The person who kills me, basically because I'm in a very bad position after covering an open area, has got a sniper rifle, and it's a one-shot kill to the head or upper body, so bang, I'm dead. Now, have your assault rifle ready for medium to long range encounters, but switch to your shotgun or SMG if it's close-up work. The revolver as well is pretty good at long range, you'd be quite amazed. Don't think that because you're not aiming down sight that you can't hit people from a long way away, because you definitely can. Use cover to hide and use the camera to peek round corners. Remember also that any cover can be destroyed, and there are rocket launchers and grenade launchers in this game, and people do use them. When you're firing at people, enemies will usually strafe around and they'll jump up and down to try and avoid your fire, but you just concentrate on your aiming reticle and accuracy. Run away to bandage up and heal if you do get into trouble though. As the circle tightens, and this is going to depend on where it is on the map, be very wary of players using the high ground. Use trees for cover and listen for footsteps. Stay near the edge of the circle, preferably with your back covered so nobody jumps you from behind. But if you do see a structure or somewhere that will give you an advantage, make for it. Let all the other players fight it out and only engage when you have to. Your ears really are your friend at this point, and don't be afraid to put up walls for cover. But remember, they will give your position away, so consider building a wall, but use it as a decoy, so then move somewhere else. The rest is up to you. Now, I'm not going to lie. To win and get a victory royale, you need to get a good drop when you come out of the bus, and get into a good house so you can pick up good weapons. It's pretty much essential to win to have some armor and obviously bandages. But the problem is when you're in the firefights at the end, you don't always have the time to heal. But if you've got some armor on, that keeps you alive for longer. And you also need the circle to be kind. I mean, you'll see at the end of this gameplay, the circle is in the middle of a lake, and there's already somebody pretty well entrenched inside that lake, in a building. And rather silly, instead of pounding away at their cover, I wait for them to pop out, and they pop me in the head. But the guy that actually, or guy girl who actually finally wins, has actually been waiting near the edge of the circle for all this to kind of settle down, and then they pounce and they kill the other players. You'll die many times before you get a win, but just don't sweat it. Just get back into the lobby and try again. If, however, you do get close to the end, say when you're in the top 10, hang around and watch the tactic, because what happens when you die, you can then watch the person who killed you and the person who kills them, till eventually you'll see the winner, and you kind of see how they're moving around, what weapons they're using, how they're using cover and things like that. After a few games and you're getting comfortable with the mechanics, try early drops into the more built-up areas where there'll be a lot more enemies. So as soon as the bus goes over the island and there's a town underneath you, dive down. Now these games won't last as long, but they'll get you used to and more proficient at combat and using the different weapons. And you'll see the higher density of loot in these areas, which is very helpful to go on to a win. When you're playing as a duo or a squad, remember that you need to finish off enemies when you knock them down. This can be a bit of a shock when you're coming from single because you don't realise. Otherwise they'll crawl away and they could be revived by their teammates, just like you can to your squad. Also remember that if you see one enemy, he or she will probably have some friends around the corner, so be very careful. Use the touchpad screen to drop supplies such as bandages or ammo to your squad mates to keep the whole team healthy. Okay, so that's enough from me. Hopefully I've shared some good hints and tips to get you started in Fortnite's Battle Royale mode. Please put your ideas down below, hit like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to see more of the same. Thank you very, very much, and hopefully I'll see you on the island.